Now, gender-based violence is one of the most prevalent violations of human rights in the world. According to the World Health Organization, an estimated 1 in 3 women globally will experience physical or sexual abuse in her lifetime. Gender-based violence undermines the victim's health, dignity, security, and autonomy, yet it remains shrouded in the culture of silence and secrecy. The 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence is an annual international campaign used as an organizing strategy by individuals and organizations around the world to call for the prevention and elimination of violence against women and girls. And joining me to talk about this is founder and executive director, Her Dream Initiative Heritage, Sanmi-Lawal. Good morning. Glad to have you join me, Heritage.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Now, could you share with us what are some of the psychological or physical impact of gender-based violence?
Okay, thank you so much for having me here. I would start by saying that gender-based violence is very broad. We have various categories. There's even the physical violence, and there's the type of violence that is not so um, often talked about or quickly noticed. For example, economic abuse as a form of domestic violence. So when you sum up gender-based violence totally, generally, talking about the psychological effects, we are talking about how a woman's mind is affected. And I want us to realize that this is not just talking about her emotions, it's talking about her carrying out a daily activities that might in turn affect the economy. So advocating against gender-based violence is not just thinking about okay, the welfare of the woman and the girl child, although that is very important.
Hmm.
But we're talking about how this in turn affects, the society as a whole. It affects family systems, it affects how the labor system is going to be. It affects the capital, the GDP of the economy. So everything is so intertwined. So we cannot just shove aside gender-based violence.
Okay, let me ask this question, Heritage. There seems to be a prevalence of gender-based violence in African countries. Why is that so?
I strongly believe from research, and as an organization, we have done a lot of research on African countries. We have volunteer presence in about 4 different African countries. And we have come to see that there's something common, and that is the patriarchal mindset and attitude that has in turn affected the rights of women. And this is sadly the reality in a continent where women leadership is really not seen as possible. Every day when a woman emerges as a leader in any sphere in Africa, we see it as an anomaly. We see it as something to be celebrated. But this is something that should be normal and common basically every day. So I would strongly say that it is definitely the patriarchal mindset we have in Africa, believing that women, are somewhat inferior to men, and we do not deserve equal rights,
Hmm.
as opposed to, yes, other
Okay,
countries and other continents.
all right, Heritage. Now, it appears gender-based violence is largely underreported, and oftentimes perpetrators, roam around without impunity. Why is this so, Heritage?
Yes, the causes are many, but I would definitely boil it down to rape culture. We have a lot of victim blaming culture in Nigeria, in Africa. We have victim blaming culture everywhere in the world. But I think it differs in severity. So I think in the case of Nigeria, it's very severe. We have girls who have struggled to even report that rape has been, committed against them because they struggle to face the stigma and the shame that would follow after. And then we equally do not have very good medical forensic examination systems in Nigeria. So we do not have the presence of the rape kits that would make sure that the ladies and the girls are quickly tested and all the evidence is gathered. So it's a very stressful journey, an exhausting journey to even report in the first place in Nigeria. You have to be mentally prepared. And that is why we have so many comprehensive health centers and health providers and service providers that are stepping up now to make sure that there's trauma response, and there's very quick response to rape and sexual violence.
Mm.
So at the end of the day, I would say that we just need to encourage more people to speak up, because I have seen the power in collective action. I have seen the power in the voice of a woman. Once you speak up, things will change, things will happen. Um, like I said before, the forensic system is bad, but when you have guides, for example, in Hadrum Initiative, we published a guide, a step-by-step guide on how to report sexual violence. So when people are more aware of what to do, it's not something you prepare for, it's not something you anticipate. But when it happens, you have a landing space and somewhere you can actually look and get your resources and be aware of what to do.
Mm.
So that is what we're striving to do in the organization and many other organizations across Nigeria as well.
All right, one final question for you, Heritage. What's your parting shot to someone out there being abused but struggling in silence for fear of stigmatization?
I would definitely tell you this. Your voice is so important. It's so important, and it is you doing the next generation a huge favor. And I want you to know that there's really no pressure at all to report, to heal, but make sure that whatever you are doing, it's something that you are well informed about. I would definitely encourage you to speak up, to reach out to, you can reach out to Hadrim Initiative, you can reach out to so many organizations that are doing amazing things wherever you are in Nigeria. And then I would definitely also tell you to prioritize your healing. So as much as you are reporting and seeking justice, please make sure that you are seeking the help that you need, the counsel, the therapy. There are so many peer-to-peer um, focus group discussions and therapies that can help you on your journey of healing. And lastly, I will tell you that, as a gender justice advocate, do not allow the perpetrator to walk free, because most times in Nigeria, the rape crimes and the rape cases we have are of repeat offenders, perpetrators who commit the crime over and over again. So when you are reporting, you are basically saving the next girl or the next lady next to you.
All right, thank you so much for your expertise. Heritage Sanmi-Lawal, founder and executive director, Her Dream Initiative. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.